Hi guys, welcome back to Father and Son Investing. If you're like me, you may hold an I bond that has just reached its 12 months of required holding before you can redeem it back to the US Treasury. Today we're going to talk about what the new variable rate for the I bond will be come November 1st. We can calculate that. I've got that here for you. And then we'll go on to talk about what we might expect from the fixed rate come November 1st. We won't know that until November 1st. Then lastly, I'm going to give you my reasoning on whether I'm going to hold or redeem the current I bond that I have. So let's get started. All right, this is the spreadsheet that I've used in past I bond videos to indicate what the inflation portion of the I bond rate will be. Of course, this is attached to the CPI, the CPIU sometimes it's called. And what you need to know is that there's a base period from 1982 to 1984 in which they have assigned a value of 100. Those numbers then being the baseline, we can get an idea based on what the current CPIU number is to let us know just how expensive things are relative to 1982. For instance, the numbers just came out today from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the CPIU number now is 307.789. So if something cost you $100 back in that baseline period of 1982 to 1984, it would now cost you $307.79. That gives you an idea of how these numbers work. Okay, with that in mind then, we're going to plug into our formula here the current CPIU number minus the previous CPIU number. Now again, the months that matter for I bonds are March and September. Don't let anybody tell you anything else. So we're going to use the number from last March, in this case, that's 301.836. We plug it in there, we divide by that same number, and we get what our I bond semi-annual inflation rate will be. That's going to be 1.972%. That is what your I bond will actually be earning during those 6 months. But in order to compare them to other investment vehicles, we're going to annualize that rate, which essentially means we're going to double it. So the annualized rate will be 3.94%. That will be just the variable or inflation rate of your I bond. Now, we won't know the fixed rate again until November 1st. Let's take a look at what those fixed rates have been doing. This is a nice little chart from the Treasury Direct folks where you can get an easy, quick understanding of what's been going on with fixed rates. We're going to narrow in on this column here, and the last fixed rate that they assigned back on May 1st was 0.9%. Now you need to know that that only applies to people who buy those I bonds between May 1st and October 31st. If you purchase them at any other time, your I bond will have a different fixed rate. The fixed rate before that was 0.4%, and then we had a long streak of actually 0%. And we can see various numbers along the way. When the I bonds initially were first sold, they started out with a fixed rate of 3.4%. Imagine that if you own one of those I bonds. Congratulations to you all if you do. Now, what could we expect from the Fed for the next fixed rate? Personally, I don't think they're going less than 0.9%. If you watched the last video that I did back in May where I talked about the I bond fixed rate, I talked about how they're actually were kind of lowballing us compared to what fixed rates have been in the past. So I think that the Fed has some room to run up a little bit here. Why else do I think that that fixed rate isn't going less than 0.9%? I think because they need to encourage some folks to be buying I bonds, at rates that will be less than what the current rates are for, say, a Treasury note or a Treasury bill. So in order to help keep that up there, I think that they're probably going to keep it at least 0.9%. Ideally, if they wanted to get back to what I bonds have been doing in the past in terms of fixed rate, that would go up a little bit more even, say to 1.1%. So if we add up 0.9% plus that variable interest rate of 3.94%, we're looking at about 4.8%, potentially up to about 5%. That would be only for people who buy I bonds after November 1st up until April 30th. If you are like me and hold an I bond with a fixed rate of 0.0%, I bought mine last October near the end of the month, then you have to make that decision of whether you want to go ahead and sell your I bond or actually redeem it back to the Treasury. You can't actually sell I bonds. You have to decide whether you want to redeem that I bond, or if you want to go ahead and keep holding it at an inferior rate of return. The next rate will be, like I said, roughly 3.9%. In my case, I had kind of forgotten about my I bond. I was actually eligible to go ahead and redeem it on October 1st. I kind of neglected to think about that. So I'm actually going to go ahead and hold it until November 1st. Therefore, it just makes sense to redeem your I bonds on the first day of the month and to purchase them as close to the end of the month as you can, still allowing for some time for that purchase to settle. It usually takes a few days. Why am I going to go ahead and redeem my I bond? Well, because I can get better interest rates elsewhere in the U.S. Treasury. For instance, the 1-year Treasury bill right now is about 5.4%, and even the 2-year Treasury note is just shy of 5%, 4.99%. To me, that's worth it to go ahead and lose a little bit of this inferior interest rate that we've had and pick up higher yields on guaranteed rates. Please give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed any of this. We'd love to have you subscribe. And until next time, enjoy your investing.